everyone, welcome back to another video where today I'm going to bring you some pretty much official and some not so official news on the upcoming Doctor Who spin-off, The War Between the Land and Sea. We've got a leaked CV detailing some of the facts about the production, as well as a Gallifrey base leak that I wish to talk about concerning some details surrounding what might happen. The second one is obviously not confirmed. The first one is obviously a lot more legitimate because it's an actual leaked CV, but we are going to get right into it. I'm very excited for this spin-off. I'm cautiously optimistic. We haven't had a spin-off in a long time, and yeah, I'm going to give you all the details. Let me know what you think about them in the comments. I hope you've been having a great couple of days. It's been very warm, but I'm back making content, so subscribe if you're new. That'd be greatly appreciated. We are trying to get 25,000 subscribers as quickly as possible, and our next stop is 24,100. Any support is always appreciated, but let's get right into it. So here you can see the CV, and it's for a line producer called Carolyn Parry Jones, and it says at the bottom there, if you look really, really closely, The War Between the Land and Sea, Bad Wolf Productions, line producer, director, Dylan Holmes Williams, and producer, Eduardo Ferretti. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I apologise. This confirms that yes, a spin-off is actually happening. But second of all, interestingly, the director listed is Dylan Holmes Williams, who, if you don't know, was the director for both 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble in Season 1, which are personally, for me, some of the best looking episodes of Doctor Who Season 1 that we've had. I think they look fantastic. 73 Yards in particular has some absolutely gorgeous shots in it. I love 73 Yards and how it's directed. So in terms of a director for this little spin-off, great choice. Looking forward to seeing what he does with it. The other interesting thing is this. So it's 5 episodes long, which is short, but I suppose for a spin-off it makes sense. I was assuming around 5-6 episodes. But interestingly, they are also clocking in at an hour each, which personally I would prefer for the main show as well as a spin-off. But I guess if you're doing only 5 episodes, making them an hour each kind of makes sense. But personally, for me, I'd love it if the main show was also an hour, given how I felt that some of the resolutions of the recent episodes have felt a little bit sort of cobbled together. And I've recently been watching the Fallout show on Amazon Prime, and that's 8 episodes, but they are also an hour each. And I think pacing-wise, it's just so much better for an 8-episode run to be an hour each. So I do wish that would be adopted by the main show, maybe for Season 3, who knows. But I do find it interesting that we're getting a 5-episode run and 1 hour for each episode. That's very much an interesting thing. The other thing, obviously, is the name has still been kept, The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is obviously a reference to that scene in 73 Yards. But I still think the title is a little bit wordy, and I'm wondering if it will get changed, because if you think about titles of spin-off previously, you think of Torchwood, you think of Sarah Jane Adventures, even Class. They're quite simple, easy to remember names. The War Between the Land and the Sea is a bit wordy, it's a bit lengthy, so I don't know whether they'll maybe streamline that or whether they will just keep it as a direct nod to that scene in 73 Yards. I wonder how much of this will tie into Season 2 as well, because a lot of people are saying that this is supposed to start filming around September-ish time, so presumably we'll see this after Season 2 that's already in the can. So I'm curious to see how much of that ties into this. But then we also have the Gallifrey base leak. So thank you to Cyberman Alf on Twitter for making me aware of this. Obviously, this might be a little bit less reliable, but I think it is worth noting that the person on Gallifrey base, Brandon B, has gotten a few things right in the past to do with the recent era. Particularly, as you can see here, the opening of Space Babies, the ending of 73 Yards, and some other stuff to do with Series 2. So, we can assume that while this isn't a guarantee, and I still would take it with a pinch of salt, this person does at least have a somewhat decent track record when it comes to correctly predicting these things, but I will still say this is still very much not confirmed. So, according to this leaker, Martha Jones will be leading the series in a rural present-day English town. And yes, the unit team are involved. The title isn't literal, as lots of people have said recently, and it's quite distinctive to previous spin-offs. The Sea Devils are in it. The thing that caught my attention outside of the obvious is them saying that it's quite distinctive and the title isn't literal. So I assume what this means is a lot of people took The War Between the Land and the Sea to be a very direct reference to a Sea Devil show. In fact, I believe that's how the Mirror originally reported on this spin-off, was that it would be a spin-off heavily revolving around the Sea Devils. And according to this leaker, I guess, they are in it, but they are not the focus of it, which personally I'm a bit relieved by. Don't get me wrong, I like the Sea Devils, I like the John Pertwee story, The Sea Devils, Legend of the Sea Devils, the less that's said about that, the better. Same goes for Warriors of the Deep. I do like the Sea Devils, but do I think they could carry a whole show on their own? To be honest, no. So I'm glad that's not the case if this is to be believed. Second interesting thing to point out is that the unit team are involved. The way this is worded, though, kind of gives me the sense that they're not the main feature in the same way Torchwood are, in the sense that they're there, but they're not like the overarching kind of main base for the show in the same way Torchwood is, which I'm fine with. Again, Unit's the sort of thing, I like Unit, I think it's good, but I don't know whether we need an entire spin-off that is just Unit show. Do you know what I mean? Because I think about it and I think that's kind of similar to what we've already done with Torchwood. So if they're just like a military force that kind of help out in these weird goings on in this little town, I'm game for that. I think that works better for me than an entire show revolving around Unit. Obviously, we get a lot of mentions of Kate, Shirley, and Mel here. Interestingly, obviously, Russell did say in a recent interview that he wanted the Unit cast to be revolving, so I could see these members not necessarily being permanent in the show, but kind of maybe some people from different parts of the show will pop in and out, which I think would be fun. And yes, the other major elephant in the room is that the lead of the show will be Martha Jones. So that's very interesting. And again, I do want to say this is completely, this is rumor. This could not turn out to be true. But this has got people's minds racing because Martha Jones is personally a companion I've wanted to see back for quite some time. I've always felt that she had the most potential in a returning RTD companion, at least, especially with the 15th Doctor and how the 10th Doctor kind of neglected a lot of Martha Jones' concerns with time travel and stuff. I always felt that that'd be a really interesting reunion. So her leading a spin-off would make sense, and people have also pointed out that she is very prominent on the Whoniverse logo and branding for the new iPlayer sort of area. So maybe that's part of the reason she's alongside Gwen Cooper and Sarah Jane, is because she is the third pillar of the spin-offs, I suppose you could say. Interestingly as well, Russell T Davies did say that he was going to work with Eve Miles, who plays Gwen Cooper again, and then pointed very deliberately at Ncuti Gatwa's face in a recent BAFTA video. So I assume she's going to be involved in Doctor Who in the future. Will she be involved in the spin-off? Maybe, maybe not. It would kind of make sense. But I felt that since I hadn't mentioned that, it'd be worth mentioning it here because it kind of fits in thematically with what we're talking about.
And why aren't I working with her? Right, I'm making a pledge now on camera. I'm going to work with Eve Miles again soon.
I also think it's worth mentioning that, of course, Martha Jones has worked for both Unit and Torchwood, so if either of those organisations are being involved in any way in this new spin-off, that would make her being involved in the spin-off, if not the lead of the spin-off, make even more sense. She's had experience with both organisations, experience with the Doctor. She's probably the new Who companion, at least, who I think is most well-suited to be heavily involved in a spin-off and in the future of this universe that they're trying to build. Again, not saying it's a certainty at all. So what I'm getting from this is that this seems to be a more episodic-based show with random goings on, 5 episodes, more sci-fi based, with Unit being involved and Martha as the lead. If obviously this is true, which I'm kind of game for. We'd also know that we'd have at least one Sea Devil episode according to this anyway. Now again, a lot of this could be completely different. I think the stuff that I'm pretty sure will be true is it being 5 episodes long at an hour each and directed by Dylan Holmes Williams, because that's the stuff from the CV. And when you get stuff leaking from CVs, that normally means there's some legitimacy to it. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of weeks we hear something officially about this spin-off, especially considering, like I said, it's rumoured to start filming around September, according to numerous sources. So presumably we won't be waiting that long before we hear about something official, maybe next month, if they're filming in September. But what do you think about all this? I am glad to know spin-offs are still going ahead, and I hope that it's not the last. What do you think? Are you excited for the concept? What would be your ideas for the show? Whatever your thoughts are, drop them down in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.